So, one wealthy person, very wealthy, doesn't like the way Twitter is censoring speech and buys the company. I love it. And true to form, the New York Times did not. Elon Musk got his transaction to be approved. Good for him and good for us. New York Times, among their critical articles came one from David Lenhart, who went at the wealth aspect, citing an imbalance in wealth that has increased in America. Now, the fact is true that the very top households do control more wealth than they've done any time since 1929. But an imbalance of wealth is almost meaningless, especially when no American is kept from becoming wealthy. What is meaningful is an imbalance in freedom. And that's where those who have control over freedom of speech, possibly freedom of movement, freedom of where you can live, they're the ones whose power inequities we should rail against. And those people are called government officials. They're the ones. Now, Twitter has been aided by government officials, thus the ire of many. How? It's been aided because of a lack of enforcement of a well-meaning law. It's the Communications Decency Act from 1996, and in Section 230 of it, it restricts as publishers on a platform, they're considered republishers, exempt from liability of what content went on their site. But if they themselves are restricting or promoting certain views, then they can be treated as publishers, subject to suit if they have defamed somebody or restricted their rights. That's what has not been done. Nobody has held Twitter or Facebook accountable despite Section 230. And with this purchase by Elon Musk, it looks like Congress is actually going to get back into the game and either instruct courts to put teeth into it or maybe revise CDA Section 230 in the first place. The imbalance of freedom is worrisome. It's un-American. It's not worrisome to have a cacophony of goofballs on the internet who have skewed viewpoints. You're not going to get normal Americans to buy in. Alex Jones can say whatever he wants on Twitter, unrestricted, and he's not going to get me to buy into his crackpot ideas. Some of his ideas are actually very good, but he tainted himself, and thus he's lost cred. Open, free communication is the best way. Censorship by anyone on the platform is not good. And while the New York Times thinks, ooh, one person alone could be censoring content. If Elon Musk doesn't like some proposal, he could stuff it. But isn't that actually better to have an out there, notorious, single rich publisher who's in control compared to surreptitious minions that you don't hear about who right now censor things that they don't like? We don't have recourse when some 23-year-old wide-eyed person wants to slam down Donald Trump, for example, if he came back on Twitter. But we do have recourse to Elon Musk. We don't have to buy his Tesla. We don't have to contribute to his cable television networks. And soon, we won't be reliant on Twitter as the public square, because this, and I think it will be a semi-downfall, Elon Musk's purchase is going to inspire other very rich people to build platforms of their own. Very hard now, will still be hard, but I think the gateway is opening up. So I think Elon Musk is not so greedy that he'd actually applaud to be one of many competitors in the space of news and opinion distribution. Back to wealth. The Times goes back to the supposed horrors of that earlier time when two and only two publishers, William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, controlled 90% of the media. But they didn't abuse people. In the 1920s and 30s, Hearst didn't stop people from buying food, renting homes, enjoying entertainment. The New York Times has political company. Senator Elizabeth Warren chimed in. Billionaires like Musk, she says, play by different rules. Well, I'm not sure that's true, but I do know this. Government officials in this country certainly play by different rules. And to the extent that very wealthy people do play by different rules, it's in part because of government enabling them. The free marketplace, which is not that free because of government, but where it is free, it is a dog-eat-dog, and frankly, the biggest dog is the one that has more young dogs nipping at him, more upstart competitors to take him down. I wouldn't want to be Elon Musk. I don't think I would. I'm very content as an upper middle class American. I can buy anything I really want. I mean, there's some little frivolities that are beyond me, but they all seem kind of dumb. There'd be a slight extra comfort, but a little discomfort in your life is probably a good thing. If I can go to any restaurant that I really want to every once in a while, I can vacation domestically every year, internationally maybe every 3 years if I save up. I don't want anything more. And what I wouldn't want is the extraordinary attention that Elon Musk has that makes his life in many ways diminished. You can't buy total privacy, and he will never have it. He will probably have to, for the rest of his life, have a retinue of bodyguards to keep him from being kidnapped. He certainly can't say anything in public without it making the press, and he probably can't trust anyone new that he meets because they might not be sincere. Extreme wealth alone doesn't curtail other people's rights, freedoms, fun. I mean, what has this, he's number 4 on the list, Larry Ellison, ever done to harm anybody else? What has Michael Dell done to restrict anybody's freedom or cut anyone's wealth? Who is? Len Blavatnik, number 19 on the list. And by the way, the second wealthiest family on the list has quietly done nothing for the last 25 years except to live off of past wealth. They harm nobody. They would be the Waltons. Julia, Alice, Rob, collectively worth $200 billion, but put them in second, ahead of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Speaking of rich families that don't do anything harmful, good for them, quietly living off their billions. It's the Mars family. John Franklin Mars, number 21 on the richest Americans list. Jacqueline Mars, number 22 on the list. Together, $66 billion in wealth. And they're the heirs to a candy confectionery and pet food company. Good for them. Once again, good for every entrepreneur who builds wealth, and you can only do that legally anyway by giving goodness to the people you serve, products to the people you sell to, who are willingly buying your services. You are inherently good because you're producing stuff that has demand. Can't fight that. And the New York Times shouldn't. I'm Mark Stewart.